Hey everybody, it's Kristen Bernias. Welcome to this edition of Stories of Hope. We're so glad you're here, and I hope that you're doing amazing. So this week we're going to talk about the power of adaptogens. And I am so excited for those of you who are kind of popping in here and you're like, Adapto, what? What in the world? Adaptogens? This is the presentation for you. And for those of you who know what adaptogens are, this is a great time for you to be reminded how awesome they are and why every single Solle product has adaptogens in them. And for those of you who are really inspired by testimonies, don't worry, we have those too. So let's go ahead and get started with today's edition of Stories of Hope, talking about the power of adaptogens. So what better way to get started talking about adaptogens than hearing a testimony? So let's hear from Olga what she has to say about how adaptogens have changed her life.
Hey, my name is Olga Samra, and I was asked to share on how adaptogens have changed my life. So a couple years ago, I was introduced to Solle by a dear friend. I didn't know how they worked. I didn't know what they were. I had never used herbs before, so I was very intrigued, but I also knew that I needed to try something. I was at a very bad place. I was starting menopause. I was um, depressed, but I didn't know it at the time. I was struggling with anxiety. Um, I didn't want to be around people. I was having a lot of joint pain, especially around my hip, where I couldn't walk more than 2 to 3 blocks. I knew it was not a good place for me. I didn't want to live this way. I had also always struggled with debilitating headaches, where I would miss a lot of family outings and just special times with my family. I had allergy issues, and so I was not at a good place. So after about 2.5 months of taking these adaptogenic herbs, I started to feel so much better. I knew that something was different. My husband started to notice that I was happier, that I was just different. I started to notice that the pain was not as bad. I was getting less and less headaches, but most importantly, that pressure that I felt on my shoulders, that heaviness, was gone. Yes, they really gave me my life back. I love that they are non-habit forming, that they're safe for everyone, that they help you manage stress, and they help with energy and your mood. So who doesn't want that, right? So not only that, but my daughter has, I have a special needs daughter that has tremendously have helped her. So um, please try them. They are wonderful. You won't regret it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olga. And I love how she points out that they're non-habit forming. And she says in her sweet voice, please try them. You won't regret it. And I have to agree, they are pretty awesome. So, as I said, today we're going to talk about adaptogens. So, adaptogens are, or actually, take adaptogens is the first in our 6 goals for success. This is our lifestyle plan. And so, last week we took you through each and every one of these, and for the next 6 weeks, we're going to hone in on each one of these points. So like I said, this week we're going to focus on taking adaptogens and what that means and what adaptogens are. But I just want to remind you, as you're looking at your life or your lifestyle, are you taking your adaptogens on a daily basis? Because they only work if you take them, right? They don't do any good sitting in your cabinet, and they don't do any good if you don't take them consistently. Number 2 is nutrition. One of our scientific formulators, her name is Dr. Allison, and she often talks about how, you can't take enough Solle products to undo what you do with your nutrition. And so nutrition doesn't have to mean any specific way of, eating or any specific dietary plan. There's different needs for different people, but as a great rule of thumb, the cleaner, the better, right? The less ingredients, the closer to what it started as, the better. And then, of course, hydration. The adaptogens aren't going to work unless you're drinking water, and our bodies are made up of water. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about next week. And we have the amazing Dr. Victoria coming on. In 2 weeks. And we have the amazing Dr. Victoria coming on. She's going to be talking about hydration and how that has impacted her health. And then movement, sleep, and of course, gratitude. So that is our game plan for the next 6 weeks. But today we're going to specifically hone in on taking adaptogens. And I have Tiffany DeLuisi, who is on, actually not live. This is a recording that she did, but it was just so well done that I thought it was worth a replay, because she does such a good job of breaking down what adaptogens are and why it's so important to take them every day. So let's listen into what Tiffany has to say.
Good. I love this subject. So, about 6 years ago, I finished my certification as a master herbalist and started to learn about adaptogens, which is what led me to Soul. And so I love talking about this subject. So you can go ahead and switch the slide and we'll dive in and talk about what exactly are adaptogens. So they are also known as adaptogenic herbs, but basically they're non-toxic plants that help our body naturally adapt to stress and maintain homeostasis or balance in the body. So we're in perfect health when we're in balance, right? And they do this by helping our body resist stressors. And those stressors can be physical, chemical, or biological. And a lot of these herbs have been used for centuries in both Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine practices. And what I think is really cool, especially about Chinese medicine, is that there's this belief that your emotions and your physical health are intimately connected. And it's this integrated mind-body approach to health and healing that operates in this really dynamic loop where emotions and impact your health of the body and vice versa. So what's really amazing about adaptogens is that they affect both the mind and the body and bring both into balance. All right, you can click to the next one. So in order for an herb to be classified as an adaptogen, it has to be non-toxic to the body and offer widespread support, but also, like I mentioned before, bring that body back into equilibrium or balance, okay? So they have to be safe for daily use, have a wide variety of medicinal plant components, balance the functions of the mind and body, help with stamina, and even strengthen the immune system. And I want to really point out what I really like about this is safe for daily use, because I frequently have clients ask me all the time, like, I'm taking these medications, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. Are you sure this is safe for daily use? And I can say beyond a reasonable doubt, yes, this is safe for daily use, but that also means it's safe for children. It's safe for women who are pregnant and nursing. They're safe for us. So I'm totally confident in giving these herbs to my kids, right?
Yeah.
So adaptogens, like I said, kind of specifically support your adrenals, which are the glands that manage your hormone response to stress and help you cope with things like anxiety and fatigue and that sort of thing. And they also, what's really interesting is work with your specific needs and kind of adapt their function to your body's needs. So I like to say that they're almost like little doctors that come into your body and figure out what's out of balance and fix it, right? So some of and they have so many benefits, but some of them, they're reducing the stress in the body, which we know stress is kind of at the root cause of all disease. It can improve your resilience and your ability to recover, like after you've been sick, or even like after a gym where you've like worked out really hard. It helps your muscles recover from that, and can also customize these benefits based on your particular given needs, right? So sometimes people will ask, maybe if I have low functioning thyroid, like hormone issues, or high functioning hormone issues, why would you still give me maca, right? Which we're going to talk about, because it doesn't matter if it's high or low, it's going to balance it out, which is pretty cool. Okay, you can go to the next slide. One of the things I always like to say is that there's no such thing as a magic pill, but if there were, it would probably contain an adaptogen. So let's talk a little bit about how adaptogens actually work. So they help your body through what's called the HPA axis, and they stabilize your existing cortisol levels and regulate their production. So when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol should be higher and it should be lower at night, right? But sometimes our cortisol, our stress hormone, is all over the place, okay? So essentially, it helps teach your body how to reach balance or equilibrium. So those stress hormones are high when they're supposed to be, lower when they're supposed to be. But what's interesting is it doesn't take away the stress response. Your body actually needs that, right? But it acts on what's called a cortisol curve, which is what you're seeing here. And it's how your cortisol naturally fluctuates throughout the day. And it helps find that, it helps it recalibrate and support both the mind and the body in reducing stress. So for example, if your body is really revved up and you might have an adaptogen herb that will kind of bring it down and calm that cortisol, right? But if it's really low and depleted, a different blend can help bring your energy back up. And so some of the greatest power is that they don't impact just one organ. They have the ability, like I said, like those little doctors to come in and figure out which organ or which system is out of balance and balance it up. And I think that is really, really fascinating and amazing how they work, because they have such a broad range of natural functionalities.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've learned that a lot too. Just like, you wake up and that when the cortisol levels are the highest in the day, and then they kind of go down as the day goes on. But not everybody's body does that, in order to get that, you need to go out in the sun for a half hour first thing. But that's not possible for everyone for whatever reason. And I just think that it's so cool that these herbs can go in and just really help to regulate within your body so that it can do those basic functions that it needs to in order to maintain good health.
Yes.
So thanks, Tiffany. That's great.
All right. I love that segment, and we continue to share that particular one over and over again because I just think Tiffany did, and Molly did such a great job on that segment. So first step in our 6-step goals for success, our lifestyle plan, is take adaptogens. Now, I keep using the word lifestyle. I use that word for a reason, because this is not a, overnight process. This is not you do this and everything's going to go away. This is a lifestyle. And so we try to do each of these things to the best of our ability. And let's be real, I'm a mom. And so, my workout routine hasn't been perfect this summer, but it's a lifestyle. So I'm doing what I can, and you have some give and take, but you focus on those 6 things and you do the best that you can. So keep in mind, this is a lifestyle and this is something that you continuously do. Okay. 2 more amazing testimonies. One is from Debbie, and this is Grandma who, with the help of Solle Naturals, she was able to homeschool her
Hello, my name is
grandkids.
Debbie Crutchfield, and I want to share with you how Soul helped me live my dream. About 15 years ago, I started homeschooling a 2nd generation in my family. My 2 oldest granddaughters were now in my school. My daughter had agreed to let me do this. I was thrilled because it had been my dream to homeschool my grandkids. It was fun. We laughed a lot. We enjoyed our time together, and it was my dream. However, about 7 or 8 years into it, it was no longer fun anymore. I didn't know why I was so stressed, but I was stressed out all the time. My daughter even came to me and said, "Mom, maybe we should rethink this homeschooling thing because you seem so stressed, and I think maybe it's too much." I was devastated. So I kept praying for a solution. I begged her to let me have a little more time, and she reluctantly agreed. Well, it wasn't long before my good friend came to me and shared the Soul products. And I had an amazing experience. I started with 3 products. Within 24 hours, My stress was gone. I was laughing again. I was me. The kids were funny. It doesn't work that fast for everyone, but for me, it was almost, well, literally overnight. I just lived the fulfillment of that dream. A week and a half ago, my youngest granddaughter graduated, while her older sister, who had already graduated, cheered her on. I'm so thankful Soul came into my life. So where do I go from here? I guess I need a new dream. But I'm not worried about it because I know whatever I decide to do, Soul will be there to help me through. Thanks.
Isn't she the sweetest? I want her to homeschool my kids. I just love that. And I love how she just said, literally, it's like my life changed overnight and she got to fulfill her dream. And I love how she said, and now I need a new dream. And it's so cute. I just love her to pieces. Thank you so much, Debbie. And last but not least, we're going to hear from Jody. Jody is going to talk about going through the decades and how adaptogens are helping her, obviously, to age beautifully from this point on. So let's hear what she has to say.
Thank you, Kristen, for asking me to share my stories with Solle's products and their amazing adaptogens. I've always been pretty healthy, but as I got older, I thought it was super important to always stay ahead of my health. I kept thinking about the next decade, what it would hold out for me. So, when I was in my 30s, I wondered about how I would be and feel when I was in my 40s. And then when I was in my 40s, I wondered how it would be in my 50s. Would I still be able to move around comfortably and with ease? Well, I can tell you that my 50s came and went, but I can honestly say that I feel better now than I did when I was in my 40s. So looking forward to the next decade, I want to be able to continue to move about comfortably without aches and pains. I want to be able to get up out of a chair easily, or to get on the floor and play with grandchildren and and get up again, or to be able to go for power walks and hikes with my younger friends without losing my breath or feeling aches in my joints. Of course, eating healthy is really important, but with the way that food is grown today, it's just lacking so much. And it's really important to get the nutrients that your body needs, not just to survive or, to fill your belly, right? You want to thrive, because when your body is thriving, you feel good. And, it's not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. I'm happy that I'm always a work in progress and taking small steps every day towards better health. Without a doubt, Solle Naturals and their wonderful adaptogens provides that for me. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jody. And she definitely is aging beautifully. All right. So as always, we are looking for stories, whether you have a story of aging beautifully or how water has impacted your health, or if you're looking at those 6 things we have coming up, we are looking for testimonies for those 6 things. So if you have a testimony or a story that you're willing to share, please reach out to whomever added you to this group. Speaking of this group, right now we are live in a Facebook group called One Soul. So if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hop over there. And if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube so that you're notified anytime we add a new video. And it is just One Soul on YouTube. And because we're constantly adding things over there, that is a huge collection of stories and education and informational segments and things like that. So that is it for this edition of Stories of Hope. I hope that you all enjoyed it, you were encouraged, and that this did give you hope. And please reach out to whomever added you, and we're so glad that you're here. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week.